Good evening. I'd like to call the City Council to order Tuesday, September 15, 2015. Councilor Caddy, will you lead us in the salute to the flag, please? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
President Hay.
Here.
Councilor Bean.
Present.
Councilor Boschman.
Present.
Councilor Beazall.
Present.
Councilor Clark.
Here.
Councilor Di Natale.
Here.
Councilor Green.
Present.
Councilor Joseph. Councilor Caddy.
Here.
Councilor Kushmerek. Councilor Tran.
Here.
We'll now have the public forum. Anybody wishing to speak on any item on the agenda may do so for not more than 2 minutes. If you're addressing a public hearing petition, you will have an opportunity to speak at that time. Please approach the center table and identify yourself by name and address for the record and the item number on the agenda you are addressing. Does anyone wish to speak? Seeing none, we will move forward to the report of the Committee on Records. Councilor Green.
Yes.
Second.
Motion and second that the report of the Committee on Records be accepted. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? It is unanimous. Moving on to the Appointments Committee. Councilor Bean.
President, the Appointments Committee met tonight. We have 2 appointments before us, 2 full-time Fitchburg Fire Department firefighters, Anthony Liberatore and Nicholas Landry, and they're both approved unanimously by the committee. Second.
We have a motion and second that the Appointments Committee report be accepted and the appointments be confirmed. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? It is unanimous. Congratulations, gentlemen. I'm going to have the 2 gentlemen come forward. They're going to get sworn in by the city clerk. Family members, friends who want to take photographs, move around, go wherever you want to. After the swearing in, there'll be an opportunity to take pictures with their families or with the chief or anything else that they'd like to do. Gentlemen, you need to turn the other way and face the audience.
Please raise your right hands and repeat after the statement. I do solemnly promise and swear
I do solemnly promise and swear
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
and to the best of my knowledge and ability
and to the best of my knowledge and ability
perform and discharge all the duties
perform and discharge all the duties
incumbent upon me
incumbent upon me
as permanent Fitchburg firefighter.
as permanent Fitchburg firefighter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Oh, wait for a picture to pin it. Wait for somebody to capture that moment.
Just want everybody to know this is a great honor for me. I've been working for the city for 39 years almost, and to have my son follow my footsteps is tradition. It's just fantastic, and I want to thank the city council for keeping our numbers up. That's probably the most important thing. When we start losing our firefighters and numbers drop, that's where it gets dangerous. So having my son.
Oh, boy, get him back in the picture.
Okay.
Richard.
We'll do one more, please.
Play nice.
Sandra, do you want a picture with him?
Chris, get a wheelchair.
Sure. Yeah, that was a good one. Oh my God.
Can I get a picture with her?
No crying come Monday.
Wait for them to.
The most crowded we ever get is when we have appointments. It's a 5-minute placement. Right?
It is? Okay.
I'm just treading water. I always look at the back.
Ready, councilors? Communications from Her Honor the Mayor. Dear Honorable Councilors, attached is the city's free cash certification for the general and enterprise funds as of July 1, 2015. If requested, state officials have indicated that they will increase the city's general fund amount from $2.6 million to $2.9 million once the DPW Unitil streetlights rebate of $274,914 is received. Appropriations will be submitted to add funds for contract negotiations, net school spending, overtime, and veterans benefits. The remainders will be available for future consideration for snow and ice, OPEB stabilization, and other purposes. Sincerely, Lisa A. Wong. Moving forward to the agenda. First is a special presentation from Fitchburg High School Boys and Girls State. Somebody here? Come forward, please. Yep. If you could all identify yourself for the clerk for the records, please.
I'm Kevin Ha. I'm a student at Fitchburg, a senior at Fitchburg High School, and I live at 67 River Street, Leominster, Mass.
Thank you.
My name is Zachary Ferrix. I am a student at Fitchburg High. I live at 125 Lincoln Street.
My name is Kong Zhang. I'm a senior at Fitchburg High, and I live on 266 Madison Street.
I'm Dick Vaughn. I'm an American Legion member. I work with Gear Up, and I do stuff at Fitchburg High to help kids. and I got this thing going. And I've got.
If you'd like to grab another chair, you could also sit. If that.
Okay.
Okay.
There's a couple of official ones.
Okay.
This is kind of what we've been doing. Fitchburg High has been growing and participating in the Boys State and Girls State program. The information is on there. I think there's 4 more here. Oh, we need 5 more. Oh, you got one? Okay.
2 things.
You're gonna. I don't know. I know the stuff. I wrote it. We're here to show gratitude and thank the City Council. The City Council, when we had a need, the state was sponsoring 4 boys and 4 girls every year, and they were the only ones that were sponsoring until 2 years ago. Fitchburg Public Schools started sponsoring 2 boys and 2 girls, and we've had a few other individual people chip in so that we could build the numbers. Okay. This year, it became a real village effort, and the state said, oh, the 4 we're going to send boys and the 4 girls, we're not going to send any. And I said, I got news for you, you're going to send at least 1 because you never said you were going to. So they sponsored 1 each just so I could come back and say, they haven't totally thrown us out. I put out a plea to some of the parents whose students were already going as delegates. They raised some money. One of them, Mr. Tran, talked to the City Council. The City Council, I think, raised enough to send about 8 students. Fitchburg sent 20 boys, 12 girls, and we could have sent a few more, but a few of the more girls, and their names are there. They're eligible. They have the honor of being selected, but they had things that they had to do, so they couldn't go that week. Okay? To let you know what that means, that was more than 10% of the senior class. There are 351 towns and cities in Massachusetts. There were 351 boys there, 387 girls, I believe, and Fitchburg High had 20 boys and 12 girls. They ran the place. Now, years ago, Brian Baxter talked about, there was a bus and there'd be some from Monty Tech and, and they'd all go down together. It's 2015, they carpool and they all get there on their own, which is frankly even better than having messing with a bus. But it is such an opportunity. I've asked each one of them to come, and something they thought was important about it, and a reason why it needs to continue. We need to make it a Fitchburg thing. I'll be honest with you, 20, frankly, too many. I'd like to see a good, strong program where 12 and 12 is the goal, so that the juniors are told now, I'm going to tell the juniors this year. And I have the teachers nominate, and I tell them, go up to the student and say, I think you're a potential leader. I think you should apply for this. They have to write an essay on why they want to go. It gets reviewed, and we make the selections. 12 and 12 would be a good number. 10 and 10 would be a good number. Michael Richard went to Boys State as a pre-med major, came back from Boys Nation as economics, public service. I want to go to Harvard. He's a junior at Harvard. He's a counselor at Boys State, and someday you're going to be voting for him for something, for whatever he decides to do. But that's the type of program it is. I talk too much, and I know it. I'd like each of them. This is Kevin Ha, and then Zach Frerich and Kong Zhang. I would like each of them just, something they really liked about it, something they want you to know about it, and why they think it should continue. And a couple of them may say that they want to be counselors, which is an option that they can apply for, which is another honor. Okay? You're up, kid.
Hi, as you said, I'm Kevin Ha, and I'm one of the attendees who want to go back as a counselor because I believe in that program. I personally enjoyed it because at the program, they put you in an environment where you're obligated to contribute to the mock government that we ran, where we had like governors, secretary of states, and we elected them as boys state. And I found the process interesting, and they made it fun in a way that you could understand it and you could comprehend it and get a feel of what municipal, state, and even national government runs. And I just loved it so much that I wanted to stay another week by the end of it. When I went in, I kind of went in with the mindset like, oh, this is going to look good on a resume, but this is going to be horrible. But then I came out and I loved it, and I want to go back.
Hello, like you said, I'm...
Just move that over so that, or make sure everybody can hear you.
Thank you. Hello, like you said, I'm Zach Ferrix, and I really did love the fact that we could run our own government. I was elected state representative. I loved the legislation. I loved making up all the laws and debating over it. It was such a great experience that I would love to do again and maybe run for in the future. I think this program is great, and that, yes, students should be able to learn more about it, especially those who are passionate about government, me. So, yeah, thank you.
Hi, I'm Kong. Like they mentioned, I was also an attendee, and I would apply to be a counselor again. It was a great program, and it was very perceptive. I got to see how all types of government works, and I got to work with other people from different places. So I knew how different towns needed help, like we need help. And it was just a great experience, and that I got to see everything work out the way it did.
Councilor Bean has a question or a statement.
That was a great program. My administrator, Dave Trainer, was a Boy State grad. Did you get to meet Larry DeCaro at all?
Yes.
And Larry will remember your name 20 years from now.
I don't think you can go there without me.
Larry DeCaro is a former Boston City Councilor who's been a strong supporter of that, and he meets every one of the students there, and he knows their names 20 years later. But it's great to be able to have an opportunity to have people like yourself see what it's like to be in government and hopefully have that feeling that when you get back out here, because what cities need and what towns need and what government needs today is young people with fresh ideas and enthusiasm like you have. So I'm hoping we can go to 2020 and get more and more, because we really need more people involved in government that understand and have the passion you kids have. So thanks, congratulations. You got our support.
Councilor Kuchmarek.
Gentlemen, thanks for being here. Your excitement and your energy is certainly contagious. It's nice to see people and young adults who are so passionate about government at every level. And you spoke about how you wish to return as counselors for this respective program. I hope that you return as in years to come as candidates for city council, for state legislature, for national positions as well. I hope your energy and enthusiasm remain throughout the years, and look forward to seeing you play an active role in government for decades to come.
Tran.
Programs like these are just wonderful, and I encourage everybody in Fitchburg, when you have an opportunity to help a program like this, reach out to them and help them, because this is where our leaders will be coming from. The more students we send to these programs, the more leaders will be coming out from Fitchburg, and that's what we want. My oldest daughter, who is a senior now in high school, participated in this program, and being a city councilor for several terms, the only thing she knows about my job as a city councilor comprised of shaking hands, holding signs, knocking on doors, and going to meetings. So her first day at the program, she texted me. She said, "Dad, can you send me your budget?" And I was like, "Budget? What do you need my budget for?" She's like, "Well, we're talking about budget and stuff." So, that was a great opportunity for her to learn about city government and how the city government works and operates, and how state legislation works, and how they come about. When Mr. Vaughn reached out to me, there was no question, no doubt in my mind that it would help out. And this guy, I cannot speak any more about Mr. Vaughn. The second he wakes up in the morning to the second he lay down on his bed, that's all he thinks about is the children of Fitchburg, the students at Fitchburg, and to make sure that they succeed. He's a perfect candidate for the Hometown Hero Award, and I'd like to. So I like to say thank you very much, Mr. Vaughn, for everything that you do for our children at the school.
The letter that I gave you, some students are going to go to the school committee. The school committee sent a number of students. Europe will again, Europe's going to be gone after next year. Okay? And there's going to be at least a 2-year gap before Europe's at the high school. Okay? My goal is when Europe goes, nothing changes. Okay? Don't want to see it like the 21st century program. You spend the money and all of a sudden, oh my God, what do we do now? Okay? And want to work on that, and this is one piece of that puzzle, is to make sure this program goes. Also, take the time, didn't really ask for any money for this. The Student Leadership Training Program it's a nationally recognized outstanding leadership program. Fitchburg High School sent 19 students to 23 residential week-long conferences at Nichols College this summer. And not one student paid for one on her own before I even knew they had done it, because she wanted to do 2. But everybody that did 1 and several that did 2 was all paid for either by the city of Fitchburg or Gear Up, or some little donations here and there and some scholarships. That program is amazing. We did a one-day symposium in January 2014. We're doing a one-day symposium this coming January for 120 students and 20 faculty members. These people come in and they run the whole program for $15 a head, and all we pay them is we buy them a bag lunch. That's why it's inexpensive. And I'm going to be at the school committee and the school department. I'm asking them to budget, because for next year, for next summer, there's only one Gear Up class, and Gear Up doesn't want to pay for half. They only want to pay for 1/4. So I'm hoping that the school committee can find some money. If these weeks, if you pay now, it's $380 for a week of residential. I mean, if you've ever dealt with this stuff, $1,500 is more normal. Nobody at this program gets paid. Nobody. Everybody does it. It's the right thing to do. You want to see good attitudes, you go there. We had 4 students on staff there in addition to the 19 students. We had 3 high school sophomores on staff helping other students learn about leadership. And I can't speak enough of that program, and that needs to continue. So that isn't mentioned in there, but I don't get there often, so I figured I'd say it. But it's a pleasure working with these guys. They suck the energy out of me, but they're really fun.
Thank you for your efforts on behalf of the students. And gentlemen, thank you for representing Fitchburg so well. Appreciate it. The American Legion Post 10 is also on there. American Legion Post 10 sponsored 2 boys this year. They're going to sponsor 2 boys and 2 girls next year. And they're also going to sponsor the American Legion sponsors the student trooper programs, the state police trooper program. They're going to sponsor 2 students for that this coming year. And I'm going to join, I'm not going to go to their meetings. I hate those. No offense, but I don't like meetings. I worked at GE. I hated meetings. I got out of there. But we know the feeling. They're necessary. But the American Legion wants to be really involved, and it's only $300 to send somebody. Please don't tell any of the other towns, because if people really knew how easy it was to send a lot of people, I mean, that's really inexpensive. You can't send your own kid
But you can send a kid.
Thank you.
Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving forward to the Finance Committee. Councilor Di Natale.
Thank you. Finance met on September 8th. The following, 16315, Larry Casassa, Community Development Director, to pass the order authorizing the submission of an application to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs, Division of Conservation Services under the Parkland Acquisitions and Renovations for Communities Park Program, in an amount not to exceed $250,000 for the purpose of making improvements to First and Railroad Street Park. That was held in committee. 15815 was the order that accompanied that, and that was also held in committee. 16815, a loan order. In short, without reading the whole thing, it was for the sum of $1 million for the appropriation to pay costs of acquiring a fire pumper engine for $460,000, a DPW street sweeper and catch basin cleaner for $400,000, and police station renovation and repair for $140,000. And that was adopted. 170-15, in order that the City of Fitchburg hereby approves the expenditure of funds from the Mass Office of Health and Human Services, Department of Mental Health, for the Police FY 16 to 18 CIT JDP grant in the approximate amount of $119,122 for the purposes of said grant. That was adopted. 171-15, in order that the City of Fitchburg hereby approves the expenditure of funds from the U.S. Department of Justice, Office of Justice Programs, for the Police FY 16 Local JAG Award LLEBG 19 grant in the approximate amount of $25,503 for the purposes of said grant. That was adopted. And last but not least, 164-15, Council President Stephen Hay to examine the process regarding the necessity of city councilors to sign the weekly warrant. That was granted.
If we could have a motion excluding 16815, that needs a separate vote. Motion second to accept the Finance Committee report excluding 16815. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? It is unanimous. We have a motion and a second to accept 16815. It's a first reading. It's a roll call vote and needs 2/3 to pass. Madam Clerk?
President Hay?
Yes.
Councilor Bean?
Yay.
Councilor Boishman?
Yay.
Councilor Beazall? Councilor Clark?
Yes.
Councilor Di Natale?
Yes.
Councilor Green?
Yes.
Councilor Joseph?
Yes.
Councilor Caddy?
Yes.
Councilor Kushmarek?
Yay.
Councilor Tran?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Public hearings. Oh, no, we have a different public hearing.
Oh, that's right.
Public hearing 17915. Verizon New England and Unitil to relocate joint-owned poles, Snow Street, approximately 50 feet northerly from the center line of Main Street as outlined in the enclosed petition. I declare the hearing open. Is there someone here to speak to the petition? Good evening.
I'm Kelly Correa. I represent Verizon New England, Inc. And basically, it's the first pole on Snow Street coming up from Main. We just want to move it about 12 feet closer to Main Street to accommodate the new entrance for the CVS that's there. That's it.
Questions or comments from the councilors? Councilor Boishman.
We're not going to put the pole right in the middle of the sidewalk, are we? Are we going to put it near the road, or are we going to butt it up to CVS?
It should be right in line with the other poles along Snow Street. So I'm going to say right where it is now. Looks like it is in the middle of that block.
The only reason why I ask these questions is we have to shovel the snow around there or use a machine and you can't get by. So when it ends up happening, you got to go around the pole and up, so nothing gets done, and then we got people walking in the road. That's the only reason why.
I can check with the engineer and get back to you. I can ask them to move it further back. They won't move it toward the road. They'd go back toward the CVS parking lot. The only issue there is if it creates a kind of pull or a tension on the pole in an opposite direction where it would need guying and other fixtures that we don't need to leave it where it is now. Like I said, I can verify that with engineering and get back to you about it. And it would still be in this location, 12 feet closer to the street, but only within a couple of feet, so I wouldn't need to repetition.
Councilor Caddy.
They did provide a plot plan, and it does show that the telephone pole is right in the middle of the sidewalk. That area of the city has a lot of elderly people and handicapped people in wheelchairs that come from Day Street, Snow Street. I'm sure they'll be using CVS quite a bit. I agree with Council Boschman. You put that telephone pole right in the middle of the sidewalk, it's going to impede the handicapped people. I'd be inclined to ask to not vote on this tonight till we have an answer. I think Council Boschman is absolutely right.
I could also ask if, for the purpose of not having to come back for another hearing, if you can approve it contingent upon the fact that there's an agreement where the pole goes. Obviously, it'll be ADA compliant because it's within the sidewalk area, whether
Could I
it's...
ask you, when you're talking about the poles, they have to be directly consecutive with each other so it doesn't put stress on the poles
Generally, yes.
because they'll turn.
Mhm.
But most of the time, I think that's when you're crossing from one side of the street to the other. A little bit of variance, 3 or 4 feet, I know puts a little stress on the poles, but I would think it wouldn't be.
Yeah, like I said, I would have to verify with the engineer. Generally, it's the electric equipment that's a little heavier. It pulls a little more. I'm not sure what's on there for facilities now and where that line...
So you're asking us to, so we don't have to have another hearing, that you could promise that it would be off the sidewalk?
I am asking to approve the location in that area contingent upon final agreement between, is it your DPW or your town engineer that would say, okay, here's where it has to go?
Well, technically, the city council will determine whether it can go there or not. So.
I mean, I can do that.
I understand what you're asking.
Right.
But it'll be the council's decision whether they want to pass it with that contingency or if they want to hold it until they can get more information.
I mean, the other solution would be to move the other poles so that it doesn't put stress on that pole also, because the other poles were probably right in the middle of the sidewalk also. But there's an awful lot of money going in that section of the city for development. It would be a shame to have telephone poles in the middle of the sidewalk when we're trying to increase housing and the housing that's already there. So it would be a shame to have something like that impeding people from traveling on the sidewalks.
Understood. I mean, obviously, I don't have an answer for you right now, so it's up to you how you want to handle the petition.
Councilor Boschman.
Ma'am, in regards to the telephone poles, any telephone poles throughout the city, I noticed that during the summer months, Unitel and Verizon were moving telephone poles, and you moved quite a bit on St. Joseph Ave. You moved quite a bit on York Ave. But you never came back after a year and filled a hole that you moved one pole, and there's a big hole still there, big hole 10 inches in diameter, probably 2 or 3 feet deep. How long does it take to come back and fill up these holes? Because these holes are in my ward, and one's on York Avenue. And it's been like that for over a year.
Okay, I don't have an answer for that. I can put you in touch with the correct person at Verizon. If you can give me exact locations, you know what I mean, I can certainly get that to construction and address those.
Well, if you come up Oakdale Road,
I don't have...
If you come up, I can't give you a number.
Counselor, just get her the information. She has indicated she will get it to the appropriate person. She's not going to give you an answer tonight because
All
that's
right.
not her
If I
responsibility.
can give it the all right.
I don't even know where those streets are, to be honest with you.
Contact her with the information.
All right.
Any other questions or comments from the councilors? Anyone here who wishes to speak in favor of the petition? Anyone here who wishes to speak in opposition to the petition? If we're going to have a motion to continue or hold, it needs to happen before we close the hearing.
Motion to hold 179:15.
And we need a date.
Continue it to...
Continue to, we need a specific date to continue to. The clerk will give it to you in just a second.
She would like, but those are
Well,
choices.
what's the next one?
October 6th.
October 6th.
Make a motion to hold 179:15 until our meeting on October 6th.
We have a motion and a second to continue the hearing until October 6th. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilors, next on the agenda is the joint city council and planning board hearing, but planning board members are not here yet. They're at their regular meeting, so we will go past that and come back to it. Orders Finance 19215, order that the...
Second.
Motion and second that 19215, that the City of Fitchburg hereby approves the expenditures from the funds of the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, for the HUD-led Hazard Control Grant in the approximate amount of $3,231,610 for the purpose of said grant. Motion and second to send that to Finance. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? It is unanimous. Order 19315, order that a portion of Parker Hill Drive be and is hereby laid out and established as a public street or way as outlined in the enclosed order, reference petition 28214. Councilors, this may be adopted tonight without suspension.
Second.
We have a motion and a second that 19315 be adopted. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? It is unanimous. Ordinance 17315, an ordinance of Chapter 169, Section 24 of the Code of City of Fitchburg, entitled Parking Prohibited at All Times, as most recently amended, be further amended by deleting therefrom Fairmont Street West from Wildwood Drive to Oak Hill Road, and by adding thereto Fairmont Street East from Plymouth Street to Oak Hill Road, referencing petition 13915.
17315 be sent to its final reading.
Second.
We have a motion and second that 17315 be sent to its third and final reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? It is unanimous. 17415, ordinance of Chapter 169, Section 24 of the Code of City of Fitchburg, entitled Parking Prohibited at All Times, as most recently amended, be further amended by deleting therefrom Pearl Hill Road East from John Fitch Highway to number 150, and by adding thereto Pearl Hill Road both from John Fitch Highway to Fisher Road, reference petition 29114.
Will be referred to its third and final reading.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Councilor Joseph.
There is no parking on either side of that road. And I won't vote for this just for the sake that they want to put up the signs to say that there's no parking already existing on a road that has no parking. So we're doing something very redundant here that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Councilor Boschman.
I agree with Councilor Joseph, that I agree that we don't need no parking signs on that road. And if you recall, a few months ago, on the way up on Route 31, Ashby State Road, people put signs on every pole hanging, stating Fitchburg Red Raiders. And everybody was up in arms on it, and it made the thing look like a circus. Now we're going to go put 10 men up there on Pearl Hill Road, on the country rural road, and have it there permanently. We're going to ruin the view up there. And according to the rules of the road, there's already rules in the book that says there's no parking on that road. So for signs, I don't want any parking on that road. Don't get me wrong when I say no parking. I just don't want the signs up there. It's going to ruin the scenery of the road. The beautification of that road is going to be destroyed by a tin man standing up there saying no parking. So I agree with Councilor Joseph.
Councilor Dean Talley.
We discussed this ad nauseum, and if some dedicated a tenth of their time to issues that actually have a huge impact on people in the city, we'd be a lot better off than signs on a street that the residents themselves have requested. Thank you.
Councilor Boschman.
Councilor Di Natale, I understand what you're saying. In all fairness, I only been here 2 years. 2 years. And I am not only a city councilor, but I am a resident of the city of Fitchburg. A resident of the city of Fitchburg. And for God's sake reason, this is going to affect the beauty of an area. I'm not an environmentalist, but I like beauty sometimes. And I believe signs destroy the beauty of things. I'll give you an example. Clarendon Street, 50-plus signs. A beautiful street it was, but now we got 50 signs up there. Why do we need signs when the law in Massachusetts says, Massachusetts, you may not park your vehicle in certain places? And they tell you right here, right in the book, where you're going to get your learner's permit. On roadways in rural areas or outside of a thickly settled district. It tells you right there. So why do we need a sign if we're going to go to school and you got to take a course to get your driver's ed and it tells you? Why do you need a sign? That's all I ask. Why ruin something that's beautiful? You can't go, according to McNamara and Officer Burns, 2 people that have over 30 years of experience on their roads told me that we're taking the city taxpayers' money and we're throwing it out the window. We're crying about money, and so we're going to spend $5,000 on signs when we don't have? I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Councilor.
Councilor Green.
I believe the reason why this petition first came to light was that we had concerned residents on that particular road who had issue with people parking on the road. And yes, we should all know the rules of the road because we all have driver's license, but I think that when residents of the city of Fitchburg come before us in a drove, because remember there were tons of people here in support of this petition, 15 of them actually signed their name to the petition that they wanted a sign. So I think that's more of an obligation as city councilors, that when residents come before us, that we hear what they have to say, and we went through the proper procedure with them. We got it to this point. So, I mean, I think they're looking to put up signs so that it's more readily or easily to ticket the people that are parking there. Thank you.
Councilor Joseph.
I just want to say that when I make a statement, I will make a statement regardless of whether or not other city councilors consider them to be important enough to be made. And it's not, I'm just so tired of hearing this. If it's not important to me, it shouldn't be important to you. And I'm just sick of it. If I make a statement, it's because of the way I feel on a particular petition or an order, and I will continue to make those statements in the future.
Councilor Caddy.
You read 174:15, that Chapter 169, Section 24 of the Code of the City of Fitchburg, entitled Parking Permit at All Times, as most recently amended, be further amended by deleting therefrom, and it tells the area. This ordinance says nothing about signs. If we pass this, we're not passing a sign. We're just passing an ordinance that Council Boschman recited already exists. This ordinance says nothing about a sign. So we can say that we're passing this to put signs up, but that's not what we're doing.
If I could just ask a question. I thought at the meeting that we were told that if this passes, they will be required to put signs up.
I think the chief is sitting here, and I think we could probably ask him ourselves.
Chief? Yes. You have an answer for that?
What was the question again?
I thought at the meeting we were told that if this passed, that we would be required, the city's then required to put no parking signs